Sometimes romance takes unexpected turns that tug at the heartstrings. On that note, here are the top 10 heartbreaking romance anime that'll make you cry ugly. So hold on to your tissues and comfort teddies while we cook. Starting the list from the bottom of the pyramid is March Comes In Like a Lion. This is one of those shows that starts so quietly but is deceptive. It lures you into a sense of calm before hitting you with emotional trauma. Over here, we have Ray. He's bland. Haircut is as mid as mine and is an emotionally closed-off shogi player who spends most of his time looking like he's about to jump off a bridge and end it all before Christmas. He's got a seriously heavy past, and it's clear he's struggling with loneliness and depression. Some say he's just a 17-year-old with lots of depressing issues. Big talk for someone who's not Superman and his job is not saving the entire world. But then again, Kawamoto's sisters enter his life. These girls, despite their own baggage, offer Ray the love and warmth he's been lacking. And just when you think maybe that'll be the one where everything turns out fine, the show drops a bombshell that reminds you that life is not a Telemundo drama or a Cinderella cartoon where dreams come true thanks to dancing mice. The scene where Ray finally starts to open up, particularly the one where he starts crying while playing shogi, hits me so hard I thought I was going to throw my TV out the window. The final moments of him accepting love and friendship are heartwarming, but they're also heartbreaking because they remind you how hard it is to truly heal. Following the list at number 9 is Violet Evergarden. This starts off looking like the typical trope where a lost girl finds herself. Hate to break it to you, but by the end of it, you're left in a pile of emotional turmoil. While other girls crash out from losing free coupons, tiaras, and their favorite clothing from Shein, there's Violet. She's a soldier who loses her arms in a war, leaving her in much emotional depth as a rock. She lives as a walking toy for the military where her entire purpose in life was to follow orders without asking questions. So yeah, she can definitely kick some ass, but she can't slap some. Sad. After the war, Violet starts working as an auto memory doll, writing letters for people who need to express their feelings. But the only problem is she doesn't really get feelings. Like a bot, this show is about watching Violet slowly learn about love, loss, and everything in between. It's beautiful, but it's also something that completely wrecks you. That one scene where she writes a letter for a mother dying of cancer to her children completely destroys me. It's not just the writing that gets you. It's the realization that Violet is finally understanding the one thing she spent her life not comprehending: the meaning of love. Hold on to your tissues, but if you can thug it out, then be my guest. At number 8, we have True Tears. I call this TT. It's a love triangle wrapped in a blanket of high school drama. Yet somehow it's not just about romantic confusion. It's about a bunch of scared teens trying to figure out what the heck love even is, when they should be studying their books. Shinjiro, our poor protagonist, finds himself stuck between Hiromi and Noe. Hiromi's a childhood friend who has some serious trauma and can't let anyone in. And then there's Noe, the overly optimistic girl who's obsessed with chickens. Yes, it's awkward, but it's also painful, especially when you realize this show doesn't do happy endings. Climaxed with the fact that Shinjiro is forced to choose between the two girls, like choosing between your childhood pet and your best friend. Either way, someone's going to get heartbroken, and it's going to feel like you're being torn apart too. If you've ever had to make a hard decision about someone you care about, spoiler alert, you probably have, then True Tears is what you hate to see coming. Next on this is The Garden of Words. For a show whose themes are loneliness and rejection, it leaves a bittersweet feeling. Now, The Garden of Words is a sneaky one. Tako is our main guy. He's also an aspiring shoemaker who meets Yukari in a garden. Yukari is a woman who's used to hiding her pain. The entire show is about connection, about two lonely souls finding each other in the most unexpected place. It's blunt, you'd never guess it's under a tree on a rainy day. It's beautiful and full of quiet moments, but also really heartbreaking, especially when Tako realizes that his feelings for Yukari can never really go anywhere because of her past and his future. It's like watching a flower bloom just to wither away. And you're left sitting there wondering why you're so emotional about rain and shoes. That's the kind of thing that hits you like a ton of bricks. You can't even blame it. It's just life, man. Halfway through and in 6th place is I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. Y'all, the title alone should have you bracing for something insane, but no. Instead, you get a beautiful, tragic love story about a terminally ill girl named Sakura and the antisocial guy she forces to be her friend. So now, Sakura has a deadly pancreatic illness, but for some reason, she lives her life with reckless optimism despite the odds. She's just a butterfly in a world full of caterpillars. As the two bond, they're fully aware that this is one of those stories where no one wins in the end. Well, that's just because they must face the inevitable outcomes of illness. The fact that she might X at any moment becomes a full reality to our nonchalant bro, and it hits harder than a basketball punch to the nose. At the end of the day, the show makes you reflect on the kind of loss that's a punch to the gut when you handle relationships with many unsaid words. Yeah, you'll find yourself crying over a pancreas. Hey there, you're a 10 out of 10, and we're glad to have you here, Pookie. Animechi is not pregnant, but you know we always deliver. It's our job to give the best top 10 list, but how about you make us a top 10 out of 10 channel by gracing us with your top-notchness when you hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for that. Ooh. Moving on with the list is Anohana, the flower we saw that day in 5th place. This is a show about grief, regret, and unspoken feelings, all wrapped up in the ghost of a childhood friend. Menma, the ghost, comes back 5 years later to haunt her group of friends. Classic, right? Because it's something I'd 100% do if I became a ghost. Floating underwater will be my first mission. So, for this group, they can't see Menma except for Jinta. Turns out, bro's wrapped up in his feelings over guilt over her death. Watching these friends confront their pasts is like watching someone try to heal a wound that never really closed. Not even without a scar. Soon, Jinta confesses his feelings and says goodbye to Menma, which brings us to a wrecking ball of tears. It's a show that makes you think about your lost friends, and those moments you thought you should have done better. Moments that should have shown you cared. To sum this up, the pain of missing someone who never had the chance to say goodbye is universal, and Anohana makes sure you feel it in every fiber of your being.
I love you too, Menma! You rock!
I love you too! I love you bunches!
We love you more than we could ever say!
5 centimeters per second will make you cry like a baby in 4th place. This is one of those anime that creeps up on you. When two people love each other, but the universe decides to do an Uno reverse on them. Takiki and Akari are young lovers, and their relationship is sweet, but it's also incredibly fragile. As life pulls them apart, first by distance, and then by time, their love slowly drifts away, like the petals of a cherry blossom. But then again, is time and distance enough to reset the memories? Like the person never happened? Yeah, that's the most brutal part. While Takiki and Akari miss each other by seconds, that's when you realize this whole thing wasn't just about a relationship. It's about the pain of watching something so beautiful fade into the abyss. It's a hard rock to swallow because you can feel the weight of time and distance pulling at them. Also, with the final scene, that'll leave you questioning your being. Among the top 3 is one of the big dogs, Angel Beats. The answers to the afterlife are given to a young blood in this anime. Let me put you on. The show starts in limbo. It's this weird afterlife battle where dead teenagers fight against fate or whatever. These teens are stuck in a dimension between life and death, with no memories, but in a school setting. They soon form a rebellious faction against their godlike student council to take control of their undead fate. That's what the premise looks like. But deep down, it's one of the most emotionally exhausting experiences you'll ever have in a show. The characters all have tragic backstories, and they're stuck in a web of unresolved feelings. Masking the blur is the show's absurd humor and chaotic action scenes. But the real punch comes during the final moments when everyone finally comes to terms with their lives. They must learn to let go of regrets and past painful experiences. It's heartbreaking because it's not just about living, because even the dead need closure.
Damn!
Sitting softly in second place is Your Lie in April. Firstly, it's a masterpiece of emotional manipulation. Rumor has it that when this show was released, Walmart and Target ran out of tissue supply.
With my mug on me.
And what does that mean? The anime just knows how to crush you. Over here we have Kosei. Kosei is a piano player who can't play anymore due to the trauma of losing his mother. Now that one character's pain is established, we could skip to the next one, bring in Cory. She's a free-spirited violinist who does everything in her power to help him find his music again. But surprise, turns out it's the happiest people who are depressed and have a lot on their plates. Cory is also hiding a huge secret that, if you haven't guessed yet, will destroy you. Their bond is beautiful, but the inevitable ending, Cory's sudden X, leaves you in an emotional wreck. The final scene where Kosei plays while thinking of Cory will leave you hysterically sobbing. And that's when you finally realize the lie in the title. Your Lie in April. The show's not just about love. It's about loss, about the things left unsaid, and about how people shape our lives in ways we can never fully understand until it's too late. Finally, at the top of the pyramid, we have Clannad After Story. I bring you another heartbreaking masterpiece. Now, this is a whole different level of emotional devastation. The first season is light and full of typical rom-com shenanigans, but After Story? That's where it just wrecks you the most. At first, Clannad feels like a typical high school romance with some emotional moments, but After Story? That's a whole other beast. It starts with Tomoya and Nagisa finally finding happiness together, but then bam! Nagisa dies. And that's when the show decides to break your heart into a million pieces. Watching Tomoya deal with the loss of Nagisa is gut-wrenching because you spent so much time seeing them grow together and suddenly, she's gone. It's not just death, it's Tomoya's struggle to raise their daughter Ushio and his grief as a father. The show doesn't let you escape, it pulls you into Tomoya's pain, and you feel every bit of his loss. The major deal breaker is that the show doesn't stop at Toto's grief. It hits you with the full force of what life after loss looks like. When everything seems hopeless, but you still have to keep going. The ending, well, let's just say it wraps up in a way that makes you cry even harder because it's beautiful, bittersweet, and painfully real. Well, that's a wrap, weebs, and thank you for sticking around. Tell us in the comments if you agree with this list and which anime should have made the ranks. You made it this far, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more tea. See you next time.